Hi, I'm Dr. Greg Castello, board-certified family practice with Castello Wellness and Adventist Health Partners, and today we're going to talk about the e-cigarette or electronic cigarette. The three premises with the e-cigarette are that one, it just creates water vapor as opposed to smoke with cigarettes, so it's less odorous. The second is that it is just nicotine and water vapor, so all the other chemicals that are in cigarettes are not present in e-cigarettes. And the last one is that it's significantly cheaper than smoking in a $5 per pack era. If I had made this video 6 months ago, I would have told you these two things, that e-cigarettes are better for you because they do only contain nicotine and water vapor, so the 300 or so chemicals that are in cigarettes are not present in e-cigarettes. So things like carbon monoxide and formaldehyde and urea and other things that are known cancer-causing agents are not present, just nicotine. The second thing is that with a regular cigarette at $5 a pack, people are smoking more of each cigarette because they feel they need to get their money's worth. So in the old days, when cigarettes were $1 a pack, you'd take 3 or 4 drags and you could throw your cigarette out without feeling guilty. But now people are literally smoking their cigarettes down to the butt because of the cost. With e-cigarettes, you can take a puff and put it down, so you don't need to smoke a whole cigarette. You can take 1 or 2, so it's more on demand as opposed to smoking a whole cigarette, and that's great. The FDA has not and likely will never say that e-cigarettes are safer because they don't want to give people the impression that it's okay to smoke e-cigarettes, because it's not. What I've seen since I know more people now and watch people smoking these e-cigarettes is a couple of things happen. One is you're able to smoke an e-cigarette in places that you otherwise wouldn't have. So during the day at work, you can get away with taking drags off an e-cigarette, whereas you might have gone 4 or 6 hours without a cigarette if you were smoking a conventional cigarette. So it's more accessible. And we're also seeing people that are starting to smoke e-cigarettes that have not smoked previously. As an example, at my mechanic shop, the shop manager, whenever I go pick up my car, he's got that thing in his hand all the time, and he's puffing on it all the time, and he actually did not smoke before e-cigarettes. So the verdict is that in young people especially, e-cigarettes are probably not safer because we're seeing more kids smoking e-cigarettes that would have not otherwise started. You're able as a kid to get away with smoking an e-cigarette because you don't come home smelling like smoke. We're seeing people take more puffs more throughout the day with e-cigarettes because it is more accessible and less of a taboo than regular cigarettes. The one exception I would make is if you are an existing smoker and you said to me, are e-cigarettes safer? Then the answer is yes, and as a bridge to quitting smoking, e-cigarettes are probably better because they do only contain nicotine as opposed to you previously smoking 300 chemicals. So in that fact, it's probably safer. And you can also taper down the number of puffs you take. So you only smoke on demand. You can take a puff at a time when you're having a craving, so it can be a good tool to quitting smoking. It doesn't have the same sensation and the same smell as cigarettes, and that's one of the things that people are addicted to, is just the smell of the cigarette, the way it tickles their lungs and makes the insides feel, and you don't get that with the e-cigarette the same as a regular cigarette, but you do satisfy the nicotine addiction, so you can almost break it down into 2 steps. So getting off of the actual smoke sensation and taste first, and then getting off the nicotine by gradually reducing your number of puffs. If you are not a smoker, please don't pick up e-cigarettes. Don't think that they are safer than regular cigarettes. I'm going to tell you that at this point that they probably are not, for those things that we discussed. So if you don't smoke, don't start. If you don't smoke e-cigarettes as what you feel is a safer alternative. If you do smoke, I would encourage you to try the e-cigarette if you haven't been able to quit otherwise, and I would prefer you smoke an e-cigarette over a traditional cigarette if everything else is equal. Dr. Castello, thanks.